Welcome to number 5. In this episode we complete the main bathroom.
So today we're going to do the screed in the main bathroom. So the wooden battens that are on the floor that you can see, they're in a cross formation. That's for the runoff. They put it in for the runoff. So they are 35 mils on the deep end, and then it runs down to 25 mils towards the waste pipe. And basically it's 10 mils for every metre. And because this room is not very big, we only go for a metre. So that's why it's 35 and 25. The metal piles, if you watched the previous videos from when we did the ensuite, that is my runner. And these wooden battens will become the runner too, so that the water runs inwards. The piece of wood at the back, that's where the bath frame is going to be. So we're not going to be screeding the bit at the back because obviously there's no point. The bath is on a frame and so that's above the ground. So it doesn't need screed in there. So we're only going to screed out the last little bit, this bit. So Andy's made the first mix. Looks good. It's nice and dry. So it needs to be able to hold together like that, but not wet. You don't want to see water residue in it. So, and this is our problem, trying to get the right levels is a pain. But it needs to be wet enough that it'll compact and stay hard, but not too wet that it pools with water on the top. Alright, so we've got the tools, we've got the whacker plate, and obviously the trowel, whatever you call it, float, whatever. And then I've got my straight edge. And like I said in the other one, we opted for the metal straight edge. It's not a real straight edge that you buy from Bunnings. They were a lot of money and they were too big for the room. So we bought it's just a metre, I think, length of box, aluminium boxing. So that's how we're using for our straight edge. Alright, I'm going to set you up and then I'm going to do this first corner, or triangle.
Generally, the minimum screen depth should be 20 mils. This is to ensure it doesn't crack and crumble. I put a small layer down first and compact before adding another layer of mix. This ensures the finished screed is compacted down hard. We repeat the process many times until we reach the level of the rails. Andy has made some angled floats so we can compact right into the corners. Now, one thing when doing screed, you should really wear gloves. The plaster really eats your skin, a lesson I learnt the hard way. When I finished off the floor, I had terrible burn marks all over my fingers and palms. Using the straight edge, run along the wooden battens to take off any excess screed. As you draw back, look along the straight edge to spot low points in the screed and backfill as required. To make sure the finish height at the edge of the wall is correct, I lay a bed of screed down first, lay the rails down and check they are level across all points. Then I can start to fill in the middle. The process should speed up a bit now. Once the screed is level, Andy removes the rail and backfills the hole. Laying screed is not only back-breaking, it hurts your knees, but it puts a lot of stress on your shoulders. I'm not sure I could do this every day. We certainly take our hats off to the real tradies that do this kind of job day in, day out. With the screed complete, we now have to leave the floor for a couple of weeks to harden and dry, which gives us time to concentrate on other parts of the house.
Today's job, we're going to build the frame for the bath. So we've started off by putting some wood around the edge, and then we're going to build up from that for the bath to sit on, and then eventually we'll tile the bath as well. We're not going to tile the bath, we're going to tile the frame hopefully. So we've worked out the height of where we need the bath to finish, and now Andy's just drawing it so that it's level all along the wall, nice level line along the wall, and we will build up to the level, so obviously the bath becomes level all the time. So I'm going to set you down and put you on a time lapse, and then you can watch us build the bath.
With the frame now built, we temporarily put in the bath to check the height and that there is plenty of space for the waste. We screw filler board to the frame so that we can tile onto the board. Now I bet you're wondering why we've cut a small piece out of the board. Well, this is so we can access the plumbing when we install the bathtub and if we ever have to do any repairs. As the bath is the main feature when you walk into the room, I've set the floor tiles out with this in mind. With the next tile in the row in place, I've drawn a straight line along the floor using a straight edge. This is the line I will tile up to ensure that the lines between the tiles are straight and the tiles don't end up going off at an angle. Sadly, this bathroom is not square. When bedroom 4 was originally built, they forgot to use a level, a right angle or any tape measure come to that. So the room is skew-if and sloping. This means the floor at the bath end is a different width to the floor at the other end of the room. In most circumstances, this wouldn't be too big of an issue, unless of course you're laying tiles. So the small tiles running down the wall will sadly be different lengths and cut in at an angle. It doesn't take long to complete the big tiles. I've left the floor waste tile out for a minute as I'm short on tiles and I don't trust myself to cut the waste hole for this one. I will leave that tricky job for Andy to do. With most of the floor tiles down and the adhesive dry, I start to concentrate on the bath tiles. In order for Andy to install the bath, we need to fit the tiles that run along the top part of the frame. But before I can do this, I need to do the walls first. Otherwise, the bath, floor and wall tiles won't line up and this will cause my OCD a serious meltdown. Now the issue I have is the door hatch. Obviously, we can't tile on this yet until the bath has been installed, and the second tile along goes slightly over the hatch hole. So this is going to mean lining up the top tiles a challenge. The top tiles complete, we can now fit the bath and finish off the floor and wall tiles. As if by magic, the bath is in place and plumbing complete. The tiles have been grouted and we have installed the skirting. Now we need to fit the bathroom sink. Andy starts by using a laser level to draw a line on the wall. With the level line drawn, Andy installs a piece of wood for the cupboard to sit on during the installation. We mark up the cupboard where the holes for the plumbing need to be drilled. With the help of some handy paint cans, we prop up the cupboard into place and check its level before we drill pilot holes into the wall. With the cupboard removed, now we can install the plasterboard raw plugs. Now, before we remove the cupboard, we marked a line on the wall and on the cupboard so that when we put it back into place, the holes in the cupboard and raw plugs would line up. The sink fits easily in place, and Andy starts by fitting the taps into place. Next challenge is the waste pipe. The bottom of the U-bend is slightly longer than the shelf in the cupboard, so we need to make a neat hole so it fits comfortably. Only the installation of the main water to be installed, but we can wait for the plumber. More tiling to do, but these are easy. They don't have a pattern, and apart from the few cuts and holes for the taps, go up really easy. However, the sink splashback tiles are another thing. These are special order from Bunnings and supposed to have 6 different patterns, but when they arrived there was 11, and not all patterns had the same amount in each, which played hard with my OCD. After a lot of screaming, 2 cups of tea, I'm finally happy with the patterns so I can start tiling. The tile cutter we bought for the job sadly was rubbish. For some reason the tiles were too small and so you couldn't score the glaze. So back to Old Faithful. The only problem with the ceramic tile cutter chips the corners of the tile, but because these tiles were beveled, unlike ordinary tiles, we can use the grinder to smooth the corners. Just a bit of grout and we're done. The bathroom is now complete with a new blind, towel rail and mirror. If only we had hot water, I would be jumping in for a quick soak. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe and share.